Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will be analyzing the case of Michael Roseboro. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Michael Allen Roseboro was born on March 6, 1967, and was raised in Denver, Pennsylvania. This town of about 3,700 people is 23 miles north of Lancaster. His family owned a funeral home, which is where he found work as an adult. In 1989, Michael married a woman named Jan. The couple went on to have 4 children. In late 2007, they moved into a 4,000 square foot house on West Main Street in Reinholds. This is 3 miles north of Denver, Pennsylvania. During the marriage, Michael had multiple affairs. Jan learned about at least one of these affairs, but stayed with him. On May 29, 2008, Michael started having romantic communication with a woman named Angela Lynn Funk. She lived near the funeral home, worked as an insurance adjuster, and was on her second marriage. Michael and Angela had met in a Turkey Hill convenience store. According to Angela, their first sexual encounter was on June 8, 2008. Before moving to the timeline of the crime, let's hear a word from today's sponsor, Factor. Eat stress-free with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never-frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. All you have to do is heat and enjoy. There is no preparation, and there is no mess. Skip the grocery store, the takeout trap, and cooking fatigue. When things get hectic, Factor is flexible. Change your order every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, upscale options done easily, and it's less expensive than takeout. After a long day of researching, analyzing, and recording, Factor is my go-to solution to stay efficient and to avoid wasting time on cooking or going to the grocery store. They offer nutritious options that make it easy for me to stick to my goals. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50DrGrande to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50DrGrande at Factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On July 22, 2008, at 11:02 p.m., Michael Roseboro called 911 and told the operator, "I believe my wife just drowned." Emergency responders arrived at his house just a few minutes later and found 45-year-old Jan Roseboro unresponsive next to the pool in the backyard. She was transported to a hospital where she was pronounced dead at 11:57 p.m. Here is what the police found during the course of their investigation. Michael said that he went to bed at around 10 p.m. However, his wife stayed by the pool. About an hour later, he woke up to use the bathroom and noticed that, around the pool, the lights were on and the tiki torches were lit. When he went outside to turn the lights off and extinguish the torches, he found Jan unresponsive in the deep end of the pool. Michael pulled her out of the pool and called 911. The autopsy revealed bruises on Jan's neck and head. Her cause of death was strangulation, blunt force trauma to the head, and drowning. It didn't take long for the police to find out about Michael's affair with Angela, because Angela contacted the police and told them about the infidelity. She also told them that she was pregnant with Michael's child, but claimed that she did not find out about the pregnancy until August 1, 2008, over a week after the murder. On August 2, Michael Roseboro was arrested and charged with murder. His trial started on July 13, 2009. Michael was convicted on July 30. His sentence was a term of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Eventually, Michael's family sold the funeral home to a competitor. Angela gave birth to Michael's son in April 2009 and went back to her husband. Not surprisingly, there was a lot of tension in the relationship between Angela and her husband. Now moving to my analysis. Michael maintains his innocence, and he has a few supporters. They argue that he was not the kind of person who could commit murder. A random perpetrator must have come into the backyard and killed Jan when Michael was asleep in the house. The state, of course, disagrees. They believe Michael was the only one who could have killed Jan. This brings me to the question, was Michael guilty of murder? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that he was guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. Michael had a history of infidelity and was having an affair with Angela at the time of his wife's murder. They had planned on getting married and promised each other they would be together forever in a state of bliss. This meant that Jan stood between them and eternal happiness. Furthermore, Michael ran up a $688 phone bill by talking to Angela. The bill was on its way to his house, where Jan would have found it and been pretty upset. Finding a phone bill was how Jan discovered a previous affair that Michael had. Michael and Angela had sex in the afternoon on the day of the murder. Angela received a phone call from Michael at 8:45 p.m. that same day. According to Angela, Michael said he was going to leave his wife so he could be with her. Between 9:37 p.m. and 10:14 p.m., Angela called Michael 3 times and sent 1 text message. Michael didn't respond to any of the calls or to the text message, which was out of the ordinary. Jan's cell phone was used to check her voicemail at 10:37 p.m. Michael told someone that he saw Jan checking her messages when he went to bed. However, by 10:37 p.m., Michael was supposed to be asleep. Michael was very calm on the night that Jan died. He never approached the ambulance. He never asked anybody where she was being taken, and he never asked if she was alive. There was not much blood at the crime scene, as if somebody had cleaned the area around the pool. Why would a random perpetrator bother to clean this crime scene? Was the murderer like, I may be a killer and all, but leaving a pool dirty? Well, that's just unacceptable. The police noticed that there were 3 scratches on Michael's face, 2 on the left side of his mouth and 1 on the right side. Jan was missing the tip of a finger on one of her hands, which meant if she scratched someone with that hand, there would only be 3 marks. Michael's DNA was found under Jan's fingernails. Angela said that she did not see the scratches on Michael's face during the afternoon when they had sex. On the night of the murder, several witnesses said the lights were off in Michael's backyard at around 10:30 p.m. This was very unusual because Michael had a light which stayed on from dusk to dawn. It could only be turned off using the circuit breaker in the house or by unplugging it. When first responders arrived, all the lights in the backyard were on, and the tiki torches were burning. Furthermore, at around the same time, 10:30 p.m., one neighbor heard a scream. When she looked outside, she noticed the backyard of Michael's house was dark. 9 days after the murder, Michael reported that $40,000 worth of Jan's jewelry was missing, including diamond earrings, a platinum wedding band, and a silver and gold bracelet. He was implying that a random perpetrator must have taken the jewelry. Perhaps this was the motive for the murder. The problem with Michael's claim is that Jan was spotted at a bank in the afternoon on the day she was killed. She was not wearing any jewelry. However, she was wearing the same clothing that was on her when she died. Moving to the exculpatory factors, there were no witnesses to the murder, no video, no physical evidence tied Michael to the crime. A random perpetrator could have entered the backyard, killed Jan, taken her jewelry, and left undetected. This was not out of the realm of possibility. Michael's 19-year-old son, Sam, had left Michael's house at 9:30 p.m. on the night of the murder. He was not there when Jan was killed. Sam said that as he was leaving, he saw his parents in the swimming pool. Jan was scratching Michael's back. This could explain how Michael's DNA was found under Jan's fingernails. When weighing all the evidence in this case, do I believe that Michael was guilty of murder? Yes, he was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Michael and Angela became romantically interested in each other, despite the fact they were both married. They decided to act on these feelings and plan their first sexual encounter, which took place on the floor of a vacant apartment in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. Later, the lovers had sex a few times in the funeral home where Michael worked. Michael was a die-hard romantic, an Undertaker with a penchant for taking underwear, and a man who, both professionally and personally, preferred to keep things stiff. Nothing says romance quite like the faint smell of formaldehyde and hearing the background hum of a mortuary cooler. These lovers were just dying to be together. However, the only thing deader than the bodies around them was their sense of boundaries. After this, Michael and Angela had sex in a Protestant monastery in Ephrata, Pennsylvania. Even being surrounded by vows of chastity could not quell their burning desire. During the course of their affair, there were thousands of phone calls, text messages, and emails. The communication was very immature, like two teenagers falling in love. Here are a few examples of the messages written by the lovers. Angela wrote, "You are everything to me and I love you. When you take me as your wife, it will be the happiest day of my life. I will be your wife. I want to be your wife. I want to love you and your children. I always wondered what it would be like to be your wife. I guess I won't have to wonder too much longer." Angela said she wanted her marriage to dissolve naturally so as not to cause bad feelings with her husband. She was very focused on getting married and said it would be the happiest day of her life. Angela said she wanted to be Miss Roseboro so bad it hurts. She stated that true happiness would only be obtained when she was standing next to Michael saying, "I do," and looking into his eyes. Angela said that she had never written vows before for her two marriages. Based on the fact that she was cheating with Michael, maybe this was for the best, like she shouldn't be writing vows if she could not be keeping vows. Angela told Michael, "I ache for you, baby," called him the most amazing man on earth, and could not believe that the Michael Allen Roseboro actually loved her. For his part, Michael also wrote several sappy and nauseating messages. For example, "I am the happiest man alive. I'm going to marry you, and I am going to make every day we are together feel like it was the first day we fell in love. I absolutely will never let you go. I need to be your husband, Angela. I need you to be my wife, and those are needs that will never diminish or subside. I cannot live life without you. I adore the air you breathe." Michael said his love was deep and pure, called Angela the most beautiful woman in the world, and claimed he would die for her. Michael told Angela she was his fountain of youth for making him feel alive, open, and free to love again. Angela was an angel sent from heaven to rescue him from the life he had been living with Jan. She ignited the flame that had burned inside of him, and he could see her naughty side coming out. As the affair continued, Angela became pregnant. She tried to make it seem like this was accidental, blaming some type of condom malfunction, but there's no way to know if she's telling the truth. It seemed like she was pretty committed to being with Michael in the long run. Eventually, Michael decided to kill Jan in order to be with Angela. He may have felt a sense of urgency. Maybe he knew about the pregnancy, despite Angela's claim that she found out after the murder. Or perhaps Michael was worried about that gigantic phone bill that Jan was going to see. Michael murdered Jan in the house and then staged her body in the pool to make it look like she drowned. He made several mistakes, like leaving his DNA under her fingernails, which led to his conviction. Now moving to my final thoughts. I have covered many cases where infidelity has led to homicide, but this case is unusual in the sense that much of the immature communication between the cheating lovers was documented. This offered a compelling and often sickening look into how Michael and Angela were thinking and feeling during their romantic adventure. This case demonstrated how affairs are extremely unrealistic. These lovers were lost in a fantasy world where they could just discard their current lives, get married, and be happy forever. Like many people who engage in affairs, Michael and Angela frequently talked about sex and commitment. Here they were cheating, yet what they found valuable in the relationship was their eternal loyalty to each other. It never occurred to them how their statements were illogical. Affairs always end badly, but the ending in this case was nothing short of catastrophic. It serves as a reminder that as tempting as infidelity may be, it is never worth the cost. Those are my thoughts on the case of Michael Roseboro. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.